Everybody in Facebook and YouTube and all of my family here. Will the $17 trillion trickle down to us? That is the conversation for this evening. I want to give people a chance to come on in. Tell me what city and state you're coming from. We're talking about $17 trillion. I'm going to explain where they say it's coming from. And we're going to have the conversation about how we as a people can get the $17 trillion that's been promised to us. And no, it's not reparations. I'll tell you that right now. Tell me what city and state you're coming from. Hello. I see DC here. I see Baltimore. It's actually private enterprise that's promised us $17 trillion. We're going to talk about it tonight. I got my Instagram family here, my YouTube family. Facebook is coming on. Tell me what city and state you're coming from. We are going to have a very interesting conversation. I'll probably be on for about 35 minutes tonight, talking with all of you about $17 trillion that's been promised to the Black community, Black businesses, Black homeowners. It's about Black wealth. They said they have their plans laid out. I got my talking points here. We're going to read through it. And I have some comments. I see Chicago. I see Nashville. I see Los Angeles. Still trying to get some grants from these entities. Keep pushing. That's all I can say. $17 trillion. I'm going to tell you some of the places they're saying this money is going to be. Some of it may not be a grant. Some of it may be a loan. However, whatever it takes to get your businesses started, homes purchased, do wealth building activities. That is what we're talking about tonight. $17 trillion has been promised to the Black community from private companies. So I'm talking about 3 right now that specifically have earmarked 17. I'm sorry, I said 17 trillion. I should have said 17 billion. I'm sorry, guys. That's like a total mess up. Anyway, $17 billion, still a lot of money. $17 billion. So I totally messed up. Actually, the U.S. economy has lost 16 trillion, and that's where the trillion came from. But still, $17 billion has been earmarked for the Black community from 3 different companies. So it's Citigroup, JP Morgan, Bank of America. I have my thoughts as to how this is all going to go, why it's happening. Yeah, see, someone say I was playing with you. That honestly was an honest mistake. As I was typing it in, I was reading about the study, which I'm going to start on now. The study from Citigroup that talked about the fact that there is a cost to racism in the country. There's a cost to racism in the country, and it has cost the U.S. economy $16 trillion from Black people not having their fair share. So specifically, the study came up with $16 trillion in lost GDP by noting 4 key racial gaps between Black people and white people. $13 trillion lost in potential business revenue because of discriminatory lending against Black entrepreneurs. 6.1 million jobs not created as a result. $2.7 trillion in income lost because of disparities in wages suffered by African Americans. $218 billion lost over the past 2 decades because of discrimination in housing credit, meaning getting housing loans, getting mortgages, getting mortgages at the best rates, in the best terms, etc. And $90 billion to $113 billion in lifetime lost income from discrimination in accessing higher education. So actually, I kind of want to go back and say, I believe that my 17 trillion number is correct, because if these things are rectified, then we can have another $17 trillion in Black America. So I'm just going to hold on to that. But we were promised $17 billion from 3 different companies: Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase, and Bank of America. And I want to discuss today what this money is, where it's coming from, where it's going according to their plans, and how you can reach your hand out. So I'm going to be on Instagram here as well. Reach your hand out, and as the dollars are flowing through, some of them into your palm. So put a 1 in the chats if you are ready for the conversation tonight. Put a 1 in the chats if you want to know how some of that $17 billion can land in your palm, because we're going to have some real discussions this evening with regards to that. So put a 1 in the chat for me if you want to know where this money is going and some of the strategic ways that you can get a piece of it. I see the ones coming through. Y'all my people, love it. See the ones coming through. All righty then. Before I tell you where the money is going, I'm going to give you a prediction as to why I think this is happening. Thank you so much for all the ones. Love it. Okay, I'm going to tell you why this $17 billion, I believe, is being allocated to Black America. And they have other initiatives for the Hispanic community as well. But of course, we are talking about here Black America. Here is the deal. They started learning about this $16 trillion in lost GDP probably a decade ago, 2 decades ago, etc. The executives at these big companies always have to reach new markets, meaning reach people that they have not touched before, get them to open accounts, get them to engage with them in order for revenues and profits to go up, in order for their stock prices to go up. Again, this is Cherie's. That analysis is true, but this is Cherie's thought as to why they're doing this and how you can use their thought process so that when the 17 billion starts flowing through, you can say, you know what, we see each other and this is what I'm able to do for you, right? So the CEO and the board members and the C-suite executives, they need to increase their revenues. They need to increase new markets. Wells Fargo CEO said he can't find any Black people, to be an executive, right? Or upper management or whatever he was saying. If you position yourself right, you can make them look good. They need to increase their stock prices because they get their bonuses and they get to continue working in the C-suite or as board members because of what? The value of their stock. The value of their stock. They've capped out on, white people basically coming through their door. They have to find untapped markets in the United States. And we are the untapped market. And we need to position ourselves. We need to position ourselves to get this $17 billion so that we can get the $17 trillion in lost GDP. Put a 2 in the chat if that makes sense. If you have questions, let me know. If you disagree with my thought process, let me know that too. Because, hey, this is a total conversation today that we're having with regards to this. But we need to get in the game with this. So put a 2 in the chat if you understand me. And if you have questions, let me know. So I'll give you guys a second there as you are giving me feedback. Definitely. Okay, perfect. So I see the 2s here. People understand me. Somebody has to explain GDP. GDP stands for gross domestic product. So what GDP is it's all of the things that are manufactured, all of the revenues that are made by technology, anything that happens in the United States where companies and people spend money is GDP. So it stands for gross domestic product. Thank you so much for that question. Somebody else here from Facebook is saying good analysis. Yeah, because you have to understand the game that they're playing so that you can get what you want in life for yourself personally, for your family, for your extended family, for your geographical community, for the community that we have within 10K, and for the Black community at large. We got to understand the game. And the game is they want increased stock price. They want access to a community that they don't have access to right now. Because when you think right now, I need to get a mortgage, you're probably not thinking I'm going to Citigroup in order to get it, right? But they want to penetrate this market. So let's start off with Citigroup. Citigroup has launched more than $1 billion in strategic initiatives to help close the racial wealth gap. This is from September 23rd, 2020. Okay, so this is just a couple of weeks ago. So Citi and the Citi Foundation today announced more than $1 billion in strategic initiatives to help close the racial wealth gap and increase economic mobility in the United States. They want to, number one, provide greater access to banking and credit in communities of color. Number two, increase investment in Black-owned businesses. They do not say minority-owned businesses. They say Black-owned businesses, okay? Number three, expand home ownership among Black Americans. They do not say minority on this sheet of paper. They're saying Black. Somebody's saying play the game. Yes, absolutely. So we're here to learn the game tonight. Number four, advance anti-racist practices in the financial services industry. Again, so number one, provide greater access to banking and credit in communities of color. Two, increase investment in Black-owned businesses. Three, expand home ownership among Black Americans. And four, advance anti-racist practices in the financial service industry. So this is what they want to do with their $1 billion. Again, this is Citi Fund. So where's the money going? And you all can just Google this, you'll find it. It's super easy to find. So they're saying over the next 3 years, okay? So 2020, 2021, 2022, this is supposed to be happening pretty quickly. $550 million to support home ownership for people of color and affordable housing by minority developers. If you're a real estate developer, if you're in real estate, period, you need to have your hand out for some of this $550 million. Next, $350 million in procurement opportunities for Black-owned business suppliers. Citigroup probably buys a little bit of everything from HR training to tech to, pencils and pens, right? Somebody's getting this $350 million. Can it be you? Is there a business you can start? Is there a business you can grow? Can you contact your cousin, your best friend and say, girl, man, bro, $350 million, because somebody's getting this money. Next, $50 million in additional impact investing capital for Black entrepreneurs. Next, $100 million to support minority depository institutions' growth and revenue generation. Next, $100 million in Citi Foundation grants. So someone mentioned grants. Citi Foundation grants to support community change agents addressing racial equity. Somebody's getting this money. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit later on about some of the things that I would do if I were you to try to access some of this, but somebody's getting this money. I see some questions here in Instagram. Can we directly access, or are there instances where we have to go through a program? I'm sure all of these are programs. The question is, you got to play the game. You got to figure out who has control over these programs. You're going to have to do your research. Oh, these aren't direct to business opportunities. So the $350 million in procurement opportunities, yeah, you'll have to go through. So every large corporation has a procurement office. So you'll have to approach them and say, hey, I understand that your company has pledged $350 million in procurement opportunities for Black businesses. How do I get on the vendor list? What do I need to give you? What do I need to show you? And that's some of the things I'm going to talk to you about, because there are some things that they are going to expect And there are some ways that you can do this a little bit more easily. So we're going to talk about that. But before I do that, let us go to, so let me make sure I don't have anything. Yeah, I do. Okay. So do a deeper dive into the investing in Black entrepreneurship. Again, we're talking, for those of you who just came on, about $17 billion, $17 billion with the B, has been pledged by 3 companies. Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase, and Bank of America have been pledged. They've pledged $17 billion as a collective to Black America, and they specifically say Black businesses, Black home ownership, etc. So right now we're looking at Citigroup, and this is their a little bit more of their breakdown to invest in Black entrepreneurship. They are going to allocate $50 million to the City Impact Fund exclusively to support businesses owned by Black entrepreneurs. Citi kicked off the fund in January 2020 with $150 million in capital for businesses that are developing solutions to social and environmental challenges. Number 2, Citi business procurement spend with certified diverse suppliers from $700 million to $1 billion annually, including $250 million with Black-owned firms. And they are also launching a new program called Citi Start Credit, which will work with community development financial institutions to help underserved entrepreneurs increase their credit scores and access more affordable credit. These are some of the things that are coming through, okay? So again, do your research. I always tell people it's not what you know and it's not who you know, it's who knows you. Who knows what you need? Who knows what you're capable of? Who knows that you have your stuff together? I'll tell you a really quick story. I network with some generals and colonels and admirals on a monthly basis. Within the federal government, they told me that the federal government's fiscal year ends in September. So between August and September, these agencies have to use their money or they lose it. They have told me, multiple ones have said, I received a phone call on September 1st with somebody saying I have a $2 million contract. It's yours. I'm going to send you the paperwork. We had to spend this money or we were going to lose it. And you're the only company that I know that can do XYZ. We're all sitting around a table and somebody said, do you know who can do X? And somebody else around the table said, yes, I've got the person. And next thing you know, they've got a multi-million-dollar contract. It's not what you know. It's not who you know. It's who knows you. If you're trying to get grants, if you're trying to get procurement opportunities, if you're looking at the $17 billion saying, how is that money going to come to me? You've got to network. You got to have your paperwork together. But this money is going somewhere. This money is going somewhere. Someone is saying here on Facebook, environmental challenges is so broad, it's a start, but we need more specifics. That's where you're right. So you're going to need to ask them, well, what specifically do you mean? What are you looking for? What types of businesses, does that fit into? This is what I'm capable of. Is this something that you think, would work for you? Citigroup also has here that they want to increase access to Citi's mortgage products and services among minority borrowers in low and moderate income neighborhoods. This is something that you can hold them to the fire. For people who are real estate investors, this may be a great program for you to say, look, I'm a real estate investor. I invest in low and moderate income properties, because they don't say here you have to live in the houses. This could be a play for some of you. Provide $200 million of equity and preferential financing through Citi Community Capital to affordable and workforce housing projects by minority developers. I talked just said it, for people who are real estate developers and real estate investors. This money is going somewhere. This money is going somewhere. $200 million. So yeah, that's that. That's Citigroup. Let's take JP Morgan Chase. Now, theirs has both Black and Hispanic in here. They're spending $30 billion. So I cut it in half and said our half should be $15 billion. I will say right now, we will have to deal with the perception that the Hispanic community is sometimes people feel easier to deal with. They have their stuff together a little bit more. You know, that's something that is a perception that when you go in and you speak to JP Morgan Chase, you're going to have to kind of take a step back from and say, okay, I really need to come with my A game here, and I need to break through the misconceptions. So I'm just warning everybody right now. So they've said 30 billion total for Black and Hispanic. I cut it down to 15 billion for us. I want to see us get it. So how do we do that? What do we do? Okay. So they have here, they want to finance 40,000 mortgages totaling $8 billion. And they are doing this, I think it's going to be over the next decade. Oh no, it's a 5-year effort. Sorry, 5 years. They're spending all of this money in 5 years. So $15 billion in 5 years. Okay, number one. Financing 40,000 mortgages totaling $8 billion. They will direct another $4 billion towards helping 20,000 Black and Latino homeowners shave their borrowing costs by refinancing. They're trying to get you to refinance your home. If you're able to refinance it for a better rate, you know, they're committing to this. $14 billion to help pay for the building and rehabilitation of 100,000 affordable rental units. They're also offering businesses technical assistance, coaching, and a financial boost from $2 billion in loans. And JP Morgan plans to spend $750 million with Black and Latino vendors. So let's break this down a bit. Number one, they're offering technical assistance, coaching, and a financial boost from $2 billion in loans, okay? So remember I said it's not what you know and it's not who you know, it's who knows you. Imagine if you go in and you start working with these companies and whomever they're giving the money to, usually do through a business development center or something like that. You got to research this, find out where it is in your neighborhood, your area, etc. But you go in, you start working with them, doing technical assistance. They say, wow, Elise, because I see her here on YouTube, Elise is super smart. She's got this great business. She has all of her stuff together. She has all of her documents together. When it comes time for us to suggest a person to get this loan, suggest a person to get this contract, we're going to recommend Elise and her companies. When it comes time for the procurement opportunities to come, and they say they need XYZ, and I know that's what Elise does, we're going to suggest Elise's company and only Elise's company. It's not what you know. It's not who you know. It's who knows you. Keenan Coke, re-put your question in there and I will, I'll answer it. Put in the chat for me, please. So using the technical assistance, the coaching as your way in to get people to know you, that can flip into dollars, either as grants, as loans, or them doing business with your company. Again, JP Morgan Chase, they probably buy all sorts of stuff, from pens and paper and, to technical services, to educational services, HR services, etc. What kind of business are you starting, and can you get a piece of the $750 million? Because somebody's going to get it. Now, this is, again, going back to when I first started talking, I said that at the end of the day, they want you as customers and clients because they need to find new markets. They need to increase their stock price. To increase their stock price, they need to lend more money out, be more involved in the community, open up branches in the community, etc., because they have saturated, white America. So we're next. Black America is next, right? So they're putting new branches in underserved neighborhoods that will enable 1 million people to open bank accounts at minimal costs. And JP Morgan Chase says it will invest in financial institutions helmed by Black and Latino Americans. So they may be putting money into Black-owned banks. I'm not quite sure what they mean by that. But they are going to be, according to them, over the next 5 years, investing heavily into home ownership and into businesses. And Keenan Coke is saying, I will be getting my piece. Good for you. Keenan Coke is asking, do you know about the Black-owned business attribute Google release? No, I don't. I will look that up, though. I'll definitely look that up. So we have someone here from Facebook. I'm sorry, I can't see your name, saying we need to support our own banks. Absolutely. But I will say this as well. There's nothing wrong with having multiple bank accounts in multiple different banks for different reasons. So we have a couple of accounts at Black-owned banks. We also have an account here at JP Morgan Chase if they're giving us a $2 million a year contract. Does that make sense? This is when you start playing the game. The Real Biz G is asking, what if your business needs a patent? I would talk obviously to an attorney about that. I would go through, for example, JP Morgan Chase's technical assistance. If you're asking for funding for your patent, I would go through them and start asking them what kind of resources do they have. There may be grants for you through them. Keenan, thank you so much for the link. I'll definitely go check it out. I literally just made a webpage for it. Okay, I will definitely go check it out. Thank you so much for putting that in here. Natasha's saying my glasses are awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All righty then. So we talked about playing the game. We have a third and final company. Bank of America announces $1 billion over 4 years to support economic opportunity initiatives. And again, for this, they are, I want to say they're specifically talking about, well, they have here a little bit of Black and Latino here. So, but let's take a look at this. So Bank of America announced in June that it is making a $1 billion 4-year commitment of additional support to help local communities address economic and racial inequality accelerated by the global pandemic. Their areas of focus: health, number 1, jobs, training, reskilling, and upskilling, number 2, support to small businesses, number 3, and housing is number 4. So these are all the tenets of wealth in America: health, jobs, small business, and housing. Now, a couple of days ago, actually September 8th, so it's been about a month now, they directed $300 million of this $1 billion to 4 places. 4 places. $25 million in support of jobs initiatives, $25 million in support of community outreach and initiatives, $50 million to support minority depository institutions, and $200 million to minority entrepreneurs, businesses, and funds. So let's break this down. Yo Mama is asking, have you heard of the Greenwood Online Black-owned bank opening 2021 by Killer Mike? I have not, but that doesn't surprise me. Killer Mike is very much in line with economics in the community. So, I definitely will check it out, and we'll do another stream on that another Thursday. So I'm trying to be here every Thursday at 6 p.m. to give y'all some really good content here. So let's go back to Bank of America. $300 million over the next 4 years. And $300 million they have just released. Okay. $25 million in initial grant funding to support jobs initiatives. If you own a staffing firm, if you do education, reskilling education, this is vital for us in the Black community. Roland Martin did a segment about 7 months ago. It's permanently ingrained in my head. Every time I talk about jobs, I talk about this. Black Americans are expected to lose 4.3 million jobs in the next decade due to artificial intelligence. 4.3 million jobs. This is only $25 million. I know they got to put more money into this, but this reskilling people is vitally important for us. When I read that, or when I heard that, I have to say, because it was Roland Martin, it was a podcast. When I heard that, I thought, well, no wonder they're expecting our Black wealth to be zero by 2050. If you don't have the skills to compete in today's marketplace. So a lot of people are going to need our help. So again, if you do any kind of reskill training, you're a staffing agency, people are going to start putting more money into reskilling. And we need to be there to be able to transfer our skills into, new tech. Right? Doesn't mean you need to be a coder. It just means that you need to have the skills in order to get the jobs of the 21st century. So they've put here, these funds will enhance upskilling and reskilling of Black individuals through partnerships with the following schools. So they have 11 community colleges that serve predominantly Black and Latino students, 10 HBCUs and Hispanic serving institutions. Bank of America will work with major employers in select markets to ensure these programs target specific hiring needs. And some current colleges involved include North Carolina A&T State University, and I think Delaware State University is an HBCU as well. Atlanta Technical College, and there are a couple of others here. So the reskilling initiatives is so vitally important. So I just want to make sure I don't stock in AI companies because of that exact reason. Exactly, Keenan. This info is awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. So the next thing that I have here is the $200 million allocated to direct equity investments in minority entrepreneurs, businesses, and funds. Bank of America plans to make direct equity investments in Black and Hispanic-owned businesses to help supply growth capital, as well as to invest substantially in programs to create future entrepreneurs. These investments will total $200 million over the next 4 years. The company expects to make further announcements related to this shortly. Reading that final thing, Google alerts. I would put if I were interested in getting some of this $200 million, I'd put a Google alert on this, because they're going to announce partners. The partners could be Urban League. The partners could be, all sorts of institutions. I would, keep track of this, because the money is going somewhere. And remember, we had that conversation of, as the money is flowing, you want your hands out. So as the money is flowing, some of it flows into your hands. And there's no reason why you can't get some of this money. And we've got more companies than this that are putting major dollars into Black America. And the reason why goes to the very first thing I said, their share prices. Their share prices. But if you understand that, if you understand what they need, then you can get what you need for your family, for your business, for your wealth. $17 billion is coming to Black America in the next 4 to 5 years to help with job reskilling, home ownership, business ownership, procurement. Somebody's getting this money. So that's my topic for today. Real Biz G, it's through, what I've talked about was 3. Bank of America is 1, Citigroup is a 2nd, and JP Morgan Chase is the 3rd. But there are other companies, other Fortune 500 companies that are doing these things as well. There's a lot of money coming into Black America, and people are going to get rich. Let me tell you, there are people that are going to get rich from programs like this. Keen and Coke is saying Lloyd's of London stated a few months ago they were going to pay reparations as well. Yeah. There's another city, I think Asheville, North Carolina, something like that, that's talking about doing it. Now, a lot of the programs for reparations are not going to be cash. They're going to be education. My suggestion to you, if you can get into an education program where you're able to meet people and network with people, it's not what you know, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. I've gotten a lot of, I turn down more opportunities than I take because enough people know me and the right people know me. I had a gentleman just come to me with a company that could be worth millions of dollars. He's like, Cherie, I need somebody to lead it. Can you do it? I'm like, no, I'm busy. He's not making that call to everybody. He's making it to me though, because he knows if I say yes, then I'm going to be on it, right? But that's because I know him, and I've known him for the past 3 years, and he's seen me work, and he's seen me do what I say I'm going to do. And now this opportunity, he has 2 big opportunities. One, he just got like $50 million of funding for. The second one, they can get the funding for it. He just doesn't have time to run it. That's the kind of circles you want to be in. That's the kind of circles that get you to $17 million. Sorry, $17 billion. Sorry, $17 billion is being offered. So I hope everyone enjoyed the stream tonight. Thank you so much. And I will see everybody actually in 20 minutes. We're doing creating content that that sells. And it's going to be in Zoom and on Facebook and places like that. It won't be on Instagram. Sorry, guys. But you can come to the10kproject.com. Sign up for it. It's completely free to attend. It's happening in about 20 minutes. the10kproject.com. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.